Heracles had slaughtered the Nemean lion. He'd burned the heads off the Lernaean hydra. But the Fourth Labor changed the rules. This time, he had to bring the monster back alive. One mistake, and he'd fail. Too much strength, the beast dies. Too little, he dies. In Greek mythology, the 12 labors were a progression from brute force to mastery. The Fourth Labor introduced something Heracles had never faced: restraint. King Eurystheus sent the hero into the primitive highlands of Arcadia to capture a creature that embodied the destructive fertility of nature itself. The Erymanthian Boar wasn't a supernatural freak like the Hydra. It was something worse. It was real, a hypertrophied version of the Eurasian wild boar, amplified to nightmare proportions. Ancient texts describe it as shaggy and wild, with foaming jaws and vast weight. It descended from Mount Erymanthos to ravage the glens of Sophies, uprooting orchards and goring livestock. This chthonic engine of devastation made agriculture impossible. Heracles had to capture it without killing it, transforming the labor from a hunt into a tactical puzzle. On his way to Mount Erymanthos, Heracles stopped at the cave of Pholus, a civilized centaur. Unlike most centaurs depicted as unruly rapists, Pholus was different. He offered Heracles roasted meat while eating his own raw, maintaining the distinction between his nature and his guests. Then came the wine. It was a communal gift from Dionysus to the entire centaur tribe. When Heracles requested wine, Pholus hesitated. This was public property, but Heracles urged him to open it. The moment the jar opened, everything collapsed. The scent drifted from the cave like a pheromonal trigger, driving the other centaurs into a frenzy. This was the concentrated essence of the Dionysian irrational, chaotic. The centaurs attacked with rocks and fir trees. Heracles repelled them with firebrands and his hydra-poisoned arrows. The skirmish became a massacre. The centaurs fled, taking refuge with Chiron, the immortal teacher of heroes. In the chaos, Heracles fired an arrow that passed through one centaur's arm and struck Chiron in the knee. The tragedy cuts deep. Chiron, the paragon of wisdom, was struck by his own former student with an incurable poison, doomed to eternal agony but unable to die. Chiron would eventually trade his immortality to find peace. And Pholus, while examining one of the arrows, marveling that such a small object could fell such massive beasts, he dropped it on his hoof. The hydra venom killed him instantly. Heracles had failed to exercise restraint, destroying his friends and the civilized aspects of the wild. Now the stakes were impossibly high. Having destroyed the gentle mediators of nature, he had to master the monstrous wild without killing it. Leaving the graves of his friends, Heracles proceeded to Mount Erymanthos. The geography became his weapon. Mount Erymanthos rises over 2,000 to 100 meters in the northwestern Peloponnese. The boar's territory provided perfect cover for a guerrilla predator. Heracles realized engaging the boar in the thickets would be suicidal or result in the beast's death. Either outcome meant failure. He used his voice. Shouting, he panicked the animal, driving it out of the protective forests and up the mountain into deep snow. The labor took place in deep winter. The snow became the ultimate weapon. A boar of vast weight, perhaps 300 kilograms, would break through the crust and flounder in deep drifts. Its short legs were useless against powder. Heracles, possessing superior stamina, could traverse the surface. Once the beast was immobilized by exhaustion, Heracles did not strike it. He snared it with a noose and bound it in chains. This was a capture of attrition. He used the environment to defeat the environment's monster, turning the mountain itself into his ally. The conclusion provides one of the most enduring images. In Greek art, when Heracles returned to Mycenae carrying the living boar on his shoulders, King Eurystheus was seized with such terror that he hid in a pithos, a large storage jar. Buried in the earth, the king, the supreme political authority, reduced himself to an infant in the face of raw nature. Heracles, the subordinate, stood over him holding the beast. This scene subverts the hierarchy of the court. The hero, though technically a servant, holds the power of life and death over the king. It's the triumph of merit over status. The scene became a favorite of Attic black figure painters around 550 to 500 BCE. They depicted Heracles leaning forward, the boar inverted, with Eurystheus' head and hands popping out of the jar, begging for mercy. Later, Roman coins featured the boar, symbolizing the emperor's ability to subdue the wild. Modern interpretations see profound layers in the labor. In esoteric readings, the boar represents lower vital energy growth, unrefined desires of the subconscious, gluttony, aggression, sexual excess. Heracles' task to capture it alive means the seeker must not destroy their vital energy, which would leave them powerless, but master and sublimate it. The snow represents the cooling of passion's mental clarity necessary to trap the beast of desire. Structuralist anthropologists view it as mediation between nature and culture. The centaurs represent the unstable mix of both. Wine causes their nature to explode. The boar represents pure nature. Heracles uses snow to trap it, then brings it to the city. The king cannot withstand its presence and retreats into an artifact. Raw nature is incompatible with the ordered space of the palace. Recent scholarship suggests another layer. Wild boars are vectors for zoonotic pathogens brucellosis, trichinosis, tuberculosis. The terror wasn't just physical trauma, but pestilence. Heracles' labor was a public health intervention, removing a biological reservoir of death. The Fourth Labor stands as a pivotal chapter. It's a story of contrasts. The warmth of Pholis's cave versus the freezing snows of Erymanthos. The tragic death of wise Chiron versus the comic humiliation of cowardly Eurystheus. The unrestrained frenzy of the centaurs versus the disciplined capture of the boar. Through this labor, Heracles proved he was more than a slayer of monsters. He demonstrated control and cunning. He utilized the environment to conquer the beast, turning hostile winter into an ally. Most importantly, he brought the wild back alive, proving that the true hero does not merely extinguish nature, but encompasses it. The image of Heracles trudging through snow, with the monster on his back, remains a powerful existential metaphor. The most dangerous beasts are not those we kill, but those we must learn to carry. The Erymanthian Boar remains the eternal symbol of the wild force that civilization tries to wall out, but which the hero must inevitably invite in, bind, and master. The monster you can't kill might be the one you need most.